Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a play. The Washington Commanders are sitting right in the middle of the pack at 3-3, and while that record doesn't sound disastrous, it's definitely not the start that fans, or head coach Dan Quinn, were hoping for when the season began. 6 games in, and this team feels like it's walking a fine line between being a legitimate playoff contender and just another middling squad trying to figure out who they really are. The frustrating part for Commanders fans is that the potential is there. You can see flashes of what this team could be, moments where the offense clicks, the defense locks in, and everything feels balanced. But then, just as quickly, it all unravels. One bad quarter, one missed opportunity, and suddenly, a winnable game slips right through their fingers. That inconsistency has been the defining trait of this season so far, and Quinn knows it. He's not hiding from it. In fact, he's pointing directly at it as the biggest issue holding this team back. When Dan Quinn was hired to lead Washington, expectations were that his defensive-minded approach and his fiery leadership would bring stability and identity to a team that's been searching for both for years. And in a way, that's still true. The Commanders are tougher. They play with more energy. They've been competitive in every game. But as Quinn himself said, the problem isn't effort or talent. It's execution and cohesion. In his words, the Commanders just haven't been playing complementary football consistently enough. Now, for those who might not be familiar with the term, complementary football basically means all 3 phases, offense, defense, and special teams, working together in rhythm. When one side struggles, the other steps up. When the offense scores, the defense gets a stop. When the defense forces a turnover, the offense capitalizes. It's about synergy. And right now, Washington just doesn't have enough of that. Quinn broke it down perfectly when he said, "There's been times that we have, and it feels like winning, and then there's times when we don't." He's not exaggerating. Take the game against the Chicago Bears in Week 6, for example. There were stretches in that game where the Commanders looked like the better team. The offense moved the ball efficiently. The defense forced stops. But then, in key moments, like just before halftime, they missed chances to put up points or failed to capitalize on momentum. Those moments, the small gaps between what could have been and what actually happened, are what's costing them games. It's not necessarily about being outplayed. It's about not finishing. And in the NFL, that's the difference between a 3-3 team and a 5-1 team. You can sense that Quinn's frustration isn't coming from disappointment in his players, but rather from knowing how close they are to turning the corner. This is a coach who's been to a Super Bowl, who's built elite defenses, and who knows what a winning formula looks like. He's seen teams that thrive because each unit feeds off the other. The Commanders did that last season, when they won 11 games and earned a playoff berth. They weren't always the flashiest team, but they were connected. They played for each other. And that's what Quinn is trying to bring back this season. That sense of balance, that trust that every part of the team is doing its job so the other parts can shine. Now, part of the reason this season has felt so uneven might come down to changes in personnel and new schemes being implemented. The Commanders' offense has shown signs of progress, but they're still finding their rhythm with a new playbook and a young quarterback who's learning on the fly. The defense, meanwhile, has had moments of dominance, but also lapses that have cost them dearly. There's talent on that side of the ball. You've got playmakers like Jonathan Allen, Darren Payne, and Jamin Davis, but sometimes the communication breaks down. A missed assignment here, a blown coverage there, and suddenly a game that should be under control gets out of hand. That's where the lack of complementary football really shows up. When the offense is scoring, the defense gives up big plays. When the defense tightens up, the offense can't stay on the field. It's a frustrating cycle. Quinn's message this week has been clear. The Commanders don't need to reinvent themselves. They just need to play their brand of football. All the time, not just some of the time. It's about capturing that feeling of connectedness, that spark that makes a team feel like it's unstoppable. The more we can lean into one another, the better it is for us, Quinn said. That's plain and simple, and when we're at our best. That quote says everything about how he wants this team to play. It's not about statistics or star performances. It's about trust. When the offense trusts the defense to get stops, and the defense trusts the offense to keep drives alive, that's when a team starts to grow into something special. Let's not forget, This Commanders team has been right there in almost every game they've played. It's not like they're getting blown out. The margins are razor thin. If just a couple of those close losses had gone the other way, we'd be talking about a 5-1 Washington team sitting atop the NFC East, not a .500 squad fighting for footing. That's the part that's both encouraging and maddening. The Commanders have shown they can compete with anyone. They just need to turn those almost moments into actual wins. And in a league as competitive as the NFL, that's easier said than done. The challenge now for Dan Quinn and his staff is figuring out how to get the team to play that complete, balanced style of football consistently. It's about discipline, focus, and mentality. When you watch teams like the 49ers or the Chiefs, it's not just about talent. It's about every player understanding their role and executing it without hesitation. That's where Washington wants to get. Quinn has been preaching it all season. Don't just rely on one phase to win the game. Because if the defense plays lights out, but the offense can't sustain drives, it wears everyone down. If the offense scores points but the defense can't hold a lead, it deflates the whole locker room. It has to work together. Now, looking ahead, the Commanders have a big test coming in Week 7 when they head to the Lone Star State to face the Dallas Cowboys. That's a game that could define their season. The Cowboys are one of those teams that will punish you if you make mistakes, and for Washington, this is the perfect opportunity to prove they can put together a complete four-quarter performance. Quinn knows the Cowboys well. He spent years in the NFC as a head coach and as a defensive coordinator, and he understands exactly what it takes to slow down that offense. But more than anything, this game will be about Washington proving to itself that it can play complementary football when it matters most. The irony of all this is that Dan Quinn's entire coaching philosophy has always been rooted in connection and energy. He's a motivator, a player's coach, someone who believes that culture is just as important as strategy. So, when he talks about the team not playing complementary football, it's not just an X's and O's critique. It's about the team's identity. It's about how they respond when things go wrong, how they feed off each other's success, and how they stay locked in when the game gets tight. You can tell Quinn genuinely believes this team is capable of more, and he's not wrong. Washington's schedule doesn't get any easier, but that might actually work in their favor. Tough matchups can bring out the best in a team that's still trying to find itself. It forces them to focus, to play every snap with urgency. And if the Commanders can start stacking performances, even just 1 or 2 complete games, that momentum can carry them through the rest of the season. There's no doubt the NFC playoff picture is still wide open, but the margin for error is shrinking fast. Every game counts, every drive matters, and every mistake is magnified. At the end of the day, Quinn's honesty about where his team stands is refreshing. He's not sugarcoating things, but he's also not panicking. He knows football seasons are marathons, not sprints. What matters is not where you are in mid-October, but how you finish in December and January. The Commanders still have time to get things right, but that window is closing fast. If they can find that rhythm, that harmony between offense, defense, and special teams, this could still be a dangerous football team. But if they keep playing disjointed football, they'll be stuck in the same frustrating middle ground that's defined too many Washington seasons in the past. The story of the 2025 Washington Commanders isn't written yet. There's still plenty of football left to play, and as Quinn keeps reminding his players, it's not about perfection, it's about connection. That's the lesson he's drilling into their heads week after week. If this team can truly embrace that message and start playing together instead of as 3 separate units, they might just surprise a lot of people down the stretch. And for a fan base that's been waiting far too long for sustained success, that's all anyone really wants to see. A team that fights, a team that believes, and a team that finally starts playing as one. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. The NFL world is buzzing today with what could easily be described as one of the most shocking and headline-grabbing contract moves of the season. Terry McLaurin, the star wide receiver who has been the heartbeat of the Washington Commanders offense for years, has reportedly agreed to an extension that locks him in with the franchise until 2030. If you've been following the story even casually, you know this is not just another contract. It's a seismic shift in the team's strategy and in the way fans perceive the Commanders' long-term ambitions. Rumors first started swirling late last night, when insiders hinted at talks that had progressed far beyond the usual contract negotiations. By early this morning, the chatter had escalated to outright certainty among some circles. McLaurin is now officially, and incredibly, the highest-paid player in franchise history. The details of the deal are still under wraps, but multiple sources close to the situation are suggesting that we're talking about a number that breaks records not only for Washington, but also places McLaurin among the elite earners in the league overall. Analysts are already speculating about the impact this contract will have on the team's cap situation and on future negotiations for other key players. For fans, the reaction is a mix of awe and cautious optimism. McLaurin has been nothing short of spectacular over the past seasons, consistently producing highlight reel catches and showing the kind of dedication that makes teams want to build around a player. His ability to stretch the field, make contested catches, and provide a reliable target for quarterbacks under pressure has turned him into a fan favorite and an indispensable part of the Commanders' offensive identity. Some of the chatter among insiders suggests that the negotiation process was intense and closely guarded, with the Commanders fully aware that McLaurin had options, both within and outside the NFC East. Teams were reportedly circling, intrigued by the prospect of acquiring a receiver who is in his prime and capable of transforming a passing game. Yet, McLaurin's loyalty, or perhaps his belief in the team's direction, seems to have played a huge role in this extension. By committing through 2030, he's sending a message that he sees the Commanders as his home for the foreseeable future, and that he believes in the project that the front office has been meticulously building. Rumors are even suggesting that the deal includes performance incentives, potential no-trade clauses, and perhaps even a leadership role within the organization, which could indicate that McLaurin isn't just a player. They're grooming him as a central figure in the franchise's next decade. Of course, when a deal of this magnitude hits the rumor mill, fans immediately start dissecting every possible implication. On one side, you have supporters arguing that this move solidifies the team's identity around a superstar, someone who can anchor an offense while younger players develop around him. On the other, skeptics are already questioning the financial flexibility of the team. How will this affect their ability to sign other key contributors? Could this contract lead to tough decisions elsewhere on the roster, especially when it comes to defensive pieces or future draft class investments? The debate is heating up on social media, with sports pundits, bloggers, and even casual fans weighing in, each adding their own twist to the rumor-filled narrative. What makes this story even juicier is the timing. Reports indicate that the negotiations escalated immediately following the team's latest performance stretch, during which McLaurin displayed a remarkable combination of speed, agility, and football IQ. It's the kind of season that makes front offices act quickly, fearing that if they hesitate, they could lose a franchise cornerstone to free agency. And yet, the way McLaurin has seemingly orchestrated the timing of this extension speaks volumes about his awareness of his own value. Some insiders suggest that his camp was deliberate in letting the market simmer, knowing full well that the Commanders would have to compete aggressively to keep him. The result? A blockbuster deal that is already being whispered about as one of the most significant player commitments in recent NFL memory. Fans of the Commanders are, naturally, ecstatic. In online forums and fan groups, threads are popping up almost by the minute, dissecting every rumored detail of the deal, from potential annual salaries to the implications for team leadership. The general sentiment is clear. McLaurin is no longer just a star. He's the centerpiece of the franchise's identity. Merchandise sales are expected to spike, ticket demand is likely to increase, and the aura around FedEx Field is predicted to reach new heights as McLaurin becomes not just a player fans cheer for, but a symbol of stability and ambition. Some longtime fans are even drawing comparisons to the franchise's legendary figures from decades past, suggesting that McLaurin's presence could mark the start of a new golden era. Meanwhile, the media storm is far from over. Sports networks, podcasts, and YouTube channels are already dissecting the rumored terms of the contract, speculating on how it compares to deals across the league, and predicting how it might reshape the balance of power within the NFC East. Analysts are crunching numbers and debating whether this kind of investment in a single offensive weapon is wise, given the team's broader needs, while others are simply marveling at the audacity of the move. Social media has been ablaze with highlight reels, fan reactions, and even memes, all emphasizing the narrative that McLaurin is now the face of the franchise in every sense. The speculation about potential cascading effects, how other teams might adjust, how rival receivers might respond, and what this means for the league's overall market for elite talent, adds yet another layer of intrigue to an already compelling story. And of course, we can't ignore the human element in all of this. Behind every mega deal, there are relationships, personalities, and ambitions at play. McLaurin's reported commitment to the Commanders until 2030 suggests a level of trust and mutual respect that goes beyond the numbers. It speaks to a shared vision between player and organization, a belief that the pieces are coming together for sustained success. Rumors even hint that the coaching staff sees McLaurin not just as a receiver, but as a mentor figure for younger talent, someone whose work ethic and professionalism can set the tone for the entire roster. It's the kind of alignment that franchises dream about but rarely achieve, making this deal feel as much like a cultural statement as a financial transaction. In conclusion, while the details are still emerging and much remains to be officially confirmed, the rumor mill has already ignited a firestorm of conversation, speculation, and excitement. Terry McLaurin's reported extension through 2030 isn't just about the money. It's about identity, loyalty, ambition, and the possibility of building a dynasty around a player who has proven time and time again that he can deliver when it matters most. Whether this turns into a sustained period of success for the Commanders or becomes a cautionary tale about high-stakes investment, one thing is clear. The NFL landscape has shifted today, and all eyes will be on Washington as this story unfolds. Fans, analysts, and insiders alike will be watching every snap, every highlight, and every press conference, eager to see how McLaurin's commitment reshapes the team and potentially the league itself. The buzz is real, the rumors are flying, and the future of the Commanders just became a lot more exciting and a lot more expensive. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.